Hey, how's it going, guys? So we're gonna be checking out more Star Citizen content. If you're new channel, welcome. This video is by the TheAstroHistorian, so shout out and credit goes to the TheAstroHistorian for the video. Now, so far when we have been like seeing Star Citizen, like the videos and everything, it always talks about the same thing: the UEE Navy and also the ships and also capital ships, the fighters, bombers, everything like aviation, aircraft related, and also the Navy. But there's one, oh, excuse me. There's one part of Star Citizen that has not been like recognized as much when it comes to lore. Well, I don't want to say that because actually I'm not a huge expert. But so far, for me personally, I haven't really seen this group recognized as much when it comes to lore videos and things like that. But I did a little researching after doing a podcast with Paul Shelley, the Astro Historian, on the Astro Pub, and this is called UEE Marines Humanities Fearless Defenders. Now, when there's the Navy, there are Marines, because there's got to be those who are, because we need Marines as well, because, for combat and also for boarding and also to repel borders, they're very important, coming from a Marine as well. So I'm really excited to see what this video has in store. So without anything else, let's just jump right into it.
Somewhere on a remote world, a group of outlaws are meeting, discussing their plans to assault yet another major convoy. These are hardened criminals, bloodied by years of their violent reality. As they discuss their next target,
I really like the armor
a faint
design.
scream is heard. It's not an uncommon occurrence in their outlaw outpost, but as the scream continues and gets louder, they look to one another with wide eyes. They know that at that moment, they're dead men walking, as they realize that the sound they were hearing was the collective sound of dozens of nail drop pods screaming through the atmosphere, carrying their elite, fearless cargo, the UEE Marines. My name is Paul Shelley, and you're watching Galactic Historian.
All right, here we go.
The lore and history of sci-fi universes. Today we'll be breaking down the history of the most elite fighting force of humanity in the Star Citizen universe, the UEE Marines. As always, I can't do this without you, and your support has been insane. I want to thank you all for your support and remind you that you can help this channel just by subscribing or liking the video
Already did.
and sharing it with those who you think might enjoy it. With that said, let's learn about the Spear of the Empire. At its inception, the Marines were part of the United Planets of Earth Army, likely a group dedicated to space-to-ground invasions and strikes, but at that point, it was still mostly theoretical. They were at the time the closest to special forces the Army had. But they seemed to be scattered, as they acted as everything from infantry and mechanized forces to small infiltrator teams. Arguably, the most famous early Marine, and the one who helped shape the future of the branch, was a member of the mechanized company from the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Unit during Operation Nemesis.
Oh, really?
His name was Sergeant Adam Core. Now, Operation Nemesis was the first punch back against the Devarin in the First Devarin War, and involved the invasion and liberation of Idris IV. As it started, everything was going according to plan, with the 3rd dropping with the 112th Army Infantry Battalion to capture a spaceport codenamed The Hill. However, shortly after the combined force secured their drop zone, they were attacked by Devarin defenders in a coordinated strike. While the Devarin...
So, like I said, in many of like videos that I've seen, the Devarin War seems to be like the most pivotal point in UEE history, because a lot of things came out of there, like Idris frigate, which I did see, the need to like create like certain ships here and there, new designs. So I did not expect like the Devarin War to be like this very, very important event in history. I'm gonna have to check out a lore video about it soon, but I'm still searching for a good one. And on top of that, I'm just like looking at other things, like Marines, ships, and ship commercials as well. And also just like other events. But besides that, let's continue.
rushed the defenders on the ground, the UEE fleet that was to cover the assault was smashed by a previously unknown orbital defense that the Devarin had built on the planet. It didn't take long for the 3rd to be cut in half, and the entire invasion force to be pushed back to the last line of defense. Soon, the entire chain of command lay dead, leaving a young army captain named Ivor Mezzer in charge. This new supreme
Ivor
commander of
Mezzer,
the invasion sprang to action, organizing ambush points and ordering round-the-clock, danger-close bombing runs on the assaulting Tevarin.
He's the one.
Didn't stop there, though.
Yeah, Ivor Messer is the one I remember from the Idris Frigate video. He's the one who like literally jumped the ranks so high that he went into like the height of political power, but also he had like the really good relation with Aegis Dynamics, and that's how they also like boosted up their like popularity, sales, especially with the Idris Frigate.
Recognizing the threat of the ground-to-orbit defenses, he grabbed Marine Sergeant Adam Corr to lead an infiltration team into the defenses utilizing a captured Tevarin skiff. Due to the training and experience of the Marines, they managed to find the nexus of the planetary defenses and surprise the defenders of the facility, who were not expecting the surgical assault. Taking the initiative, Corr ordered his men to turn the defenses on the Tevarin fleet. Knowing he wouldn't be able to hold the facility for long, the team planted explosives on the control nexus and held out as long as they could, retreating and blowing the facility when they were about to be overrun. Thanks to the efforts of Sergeant Adam Corr and his Marines, the battle for Idris IV turned in Humanities' favor and cemented the Marines as more than just an extension of the Army. After the war, the Marines were founded as their own branch of the armed services of the UPE.
Wait, what's that say? Oh man, it's too high. On top of that, oh okay, never mind. I guess my Discord is kind of going off too. Sorry about that, guys. It wouldn't be the Marines.
Were founded as their own branch of the armed services of the UPE, separate from the Navy and the Army.
If you guys heard that, it's just my
Their goal
Discord.
was to turn the Marines into a specialized planetary invasion force, separate from the Navy and Army, with more emphasis on specialized missions. When the UPE transformed into the UEE under the Mezzers, the newly created government branch called the High Command included a seat for the Marines, with a brand new rank of Legatus Marinium, or the head of the Marines. Under this
Legatus
new order,
Marinium. That's interesting because in today's time, the leader of the Marines is called the Commandant, which is I believe German for commander. So the commander of the Marines. So Legatus Marinium. Interesting. I just find it interesting.
Marines were fed recruits from the best and brightest of the Navy and Army, meaning that, in theory, they would be the cream of the crop. While
Have you got what it
Marines
takes?
were finally finding their footing, their future would be thrown into doubt when Warlord Korathal emerged with his reforged Tevarin fleet to start the Second Tevarin War.
Look at him.
The Marines found themselves as
I really like his design.
as their specialized role was not valuable in a war where resource raids and space skirmishes dominated the conflict. The Army would claim sole dominion of the ground-based operations, pointing to the impressive Battle of Korean Pass, and the Navy constantly pointed out that the Marines lacked the size to go toe-to-toe with the Tevarin battle fleet. Both of their other branches were bitter that their best candidates were being shuffled over to the Marines, and jealously guarded their best and brightest, while seeking to strangle the Marines economically, cutting their budget down as much as possible and refusing to hand over material and resources to quote-unquote war needs.
But dude, that's a big-ass gun and pretty good armor.
When the Tevarin invaded the Oberon system. Oberon is not claimed by the UEE, but has humans living in it. It's also home to a large quantum fuel refinery. So when the Tevarin invaded and occupied the frozen planet of Uriel, instead of simply raiding and leaving, this posed a massive problem. You see, the system was just a single jump away from the beleaguered Vega system, which had been dealing with raids all throughout the war. Vega itself was also a single jump away from the breadbasket of the Empire, Bremen. Additionally, there was a fear that if the Tevarin turned the system into a resupply point, they might be able to push all the way to the Peri line. Many believed.
So not only was it a resource, the fact that they lost a good amount of resources, it's a good starting point to invade strategic points for the UEE. Got it. So I guess at this moment in like an act of desperation, they turn to the Marines saying like, all right, this is your guys' moment to shine. If you guys succeed, who knows? We'll give you more support. I mean, that's how it usually goes. Just, trial by fire. No one takes like anyone seriously like when something new is created, but then when they prove their worth in like dire situations or like really tough like problems to solve, then all of a sudden they're recognized as heroes and they become like a permanent like part of like the government, or their name goes down in history, things like that. Let's continue.
That the resurgent Tevarin had been aided by the Xi'an.
The
And
Xi'an.
if the Tevarin managed
Of
to
course.
push all the way to the Peri line, the Xi'an would then join them in their war against humanity. This was seen as an apocalyptic end of humanity scenario from the UEE. No one knew what to do. The High Command feared high losses in an attempt to capture the system, and were reluctant to commit Army and Navy forces as they would leave other areas of the Empire vulnerable to raids by the Tevarin. That left the understrength but determined Marines to deal with the issue through a surgical strike. The Marines were more than up for the challenge, as the Special Forces from the 1st Marine Combat Battalion, or 1st MCB, had been training for weeks when the word came down that the High Command had authorized them to strike in what would be called Operation Oberon.
Oh, these guys were ready.
They shifted their training to a hand-to-hand martial arts style, developed after the First Tevarin War specifically to counter the Tevarin traditional moves. They also used schematics and scans to recreate the landing zone almost one-to-one, to train on tirelessly. Soon, they boarded a secretive Navy transport to Oberon. They knew they'd be outnumbered and outgunned and would have to strike at the perfect moment. So they waited for days in the Vega system until the weather cleared enough for them to use their new signature transports.
Wow.
The little drop pods known as nails. These rocket transport pods are fitted with inertial dampeners to keep the sole occupants safe from the intense G.
It's kind of like Helldivers or
from
ODST.
space to surface, which, due to the powerful rockets, could take as little as 90 seconds. The purpose of nails was to get to the surface as fast as possible, faster than any enemy could react. But this speed required intense training and practice, for which the Marines were well suited for. Early in the morning of June 24, 2605, the Marines touched down on Uriel, near a decommissioned maintenance enclosure which gave them access to the tunnels connected to the quantum fuel refinery, their main objective. They hoped by destroying the facility it would disrupt the Tevarin's plans and cause them to abandon the system. At first, they did well, sneaking into the control room of the facility undetected. Once they arrived, they were able
Oh, I
to
just
defeat
realized
the
this is a
Tevarin
bearing
there
rifle.
without any incident. But as they were setting up explosives, they were made by a group of Tevarin soldiers. The ensuing firefight and ever-increasing number of Tevarin meant they weren't able to set the explosives properly, so they resorted to improvised demolition as they fled to their secondary evac point. When they
That's how it
breached the
usually
surface of
goes.
the icy planet, they found that their evac had been chased away by Tevarin defenses, and they were on their own. What followed was an epic journey of survival and heroism that cemented their legend as near super soldiers. The High Command had given the odds for their survival at this point at 3.8%, which their commanding officer, General Adachi, scoffed, saying, "They've obviously never met my Marines." Despite the odds, the general was correct, with the Marines managing to eventually be evacuated from the frozen mountains of Uriel,
3%?
hunted by a much larger and better equipped Tevarin force. The success of Operation Oberon cemented the ideal of the Marines in the public eye and their importance to the UEE High Command.
Nice. Well done, Marines.
Commandos, and elite strike forces, able to muster and hit any target anywhere in the galaxy with little to no assistance from other branches and at a moment's notice. They would continue to
So basically, the Marines are now like the UEE's elite quick reaction force, basically. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing in today's time right now. That's basically what the Marines are, just like pretty much training, and ready at a moment's notice.
prove themselves up to that task well beyond the fall of the Mezzers. Their assaults on OP Station Damien and Echo 11 during the Nexus conflicts have become so legendary that they've been enshrined in the video game Star Marine. They were also
Wait.
the first legendary that they've been enshrined in the video game Star Marine.
Star Marine? Huh, I never heard of that game. Guess I'm gonna have to look into that.
They were also the first to test the brand new M2 Starlifter in combat, when they used it in
the
their
Hercules.
raid on an entrenched outlaw station in an asteroid belt in a border system, using it to great success to deliver Marine Nova tanks directly onto the battlefield and to take the base without losing a single Marine. The success of the Marines is largely due to their training and selection process. You see, no one can choose to go to the Marines. The Marines choose you. During initial training for the Army and the Navy, the best recruits are pulled out and transferred to the Marines. These recruits are then brought to the ice planet of Corrin in the Killian system. And on the surface of this frigid planet, hostile to life, is where these Marines will be forged. For 6 months, they train around the clock in icy conditions. This boot camp is as much about survival as it is about making good soldiers. Those who make it to the very end are inducted into the Marines and allowed to enter the private underground caverns of the planet, which act as the Marines' headquarters and will act as their homeworld for their time in service.
Wow, that's crazy.
After boot, they continue their training, returning to the surface and honing their skills in their respective positions. As the Marines are a self-sufficient branch, they have to fill all of the roles that both the Army and the Navy already have, from foot soldier to fighter pilot and beyond. Once they've been fully trained, many will be posted on naval vessels to act as gunners and security. Others will find positions
just like
on
today.
terrestrial bases alongside Army personnel to act as special forces or to defend remote outposts near hostile territory. And the rest will be posted to the Marine fleets to work alongside other Marines. Today, the Marines continue to act as the spear of humanity, acting both as shock troops and commandos, able to operate alone or together with the other branches. They are the nightmares of the enemies of the UEE, and they know no fear.
Nice.
Thank you for watching.
I like that.
I want to thank those who help this channel monetarily, my wonderful patrons, like those on the screen right now.
Hey, there he is, Mount
Specifically, I
Stunner.
want to shout out the latest batch of this past month, including Russell Torres, Josh S., Mount Stunner, B2 Burn, Deuce Maximus, SPG Legion, Astral Gemini, Timble, Jordan Moreno, and I Am Vader. If you want to be like these fantastic people and help make these videos possible, you can sign up in the link below. For now, I'd like to know your thoughts on the Marines, and would you like to know more about these elite soldiers of the Empire? Make sure to tell me in the comments down below, and as always, remember, ex Historia ad Astra.
Man, as a Marine myself, I really like that video. So basically, the Marines did not exist at the time, but the Tevarin War basically shifted the whole thing around. But even though the Marines were like at the stage of being an idea, no one really took it seriously until they proved themselves in strategic operations, God, and many victories, and showing how elite they are. So there's one thing I want to point out. What I find really interesting about this is you don't enlist in the Marines. The Marines choose you. So basically, they're kind of like, in a way, the special forces of the UEE. Because, you know, in today's time, like how I did it, I just joined. I went to the recruiting office and I joined up and I passed the physical exams and all physical, mental, all that, and like the fitness tests here and there. So that's how I proved that I can become a Marine. But here it's, you have to be like selected and you have to catch the eyes of like certain recruiters and higher ups, and then literally thrown straight into the cold pits of hell and survive. In a way, it kind of sounds like Spartan training. But also what I really want to say is what I find really like relatable is the part where they said like we had a plan and we didn't have we got compromised and we didn't set the explosives, so we went to plan B, but plan B went to hell, so now we got to improvise. That's basically what we do a lot as well, because your original plan doesn't really go well. I mean, if it does, great on you, but there's always a backup plan, and there's always ways to think, how do we get out of certain situations? and we just rehearse and train, so that way it's like almost muscle memory and embedded into you, so that way when it comes down to like make a certain decision, you're thinking we could do this. So that's what I really like. Just like saying like, hey, it all went to hell, now our survival chances are really low, but hey, we got out of there. So this one is really great, like I said, mostly because my connection with the Marines. But to be honest, judging by like what they said about like the training, going to the coal plant, things like that, I don't know if I would make it personally. I mean, maybe I don't know my own strengths. Who knows? If I was thrown into that situation, I could like maybe pull a miracle and become one of them. But I don't know, guys, because I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the toughest. So it's really hard to say that I will be able to even meet the requirements and standards of the UEE Marines. But that's just me personally. So that's all I got for today, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. And also shout out to all my members, subscribers, viewers. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you guys have anything else you guys want me to check out, please put it down in the comments below. I really would appreciate that as well. So without anything else, see you guys next time.